So let's start right there with recapping how the season did go for us, because the regular season is over. We are going into the playoffs here to figure out who the champs are of the divisions. I'll start us off here. Newcastle United just absolutely stunk. Thought maybe shaking things up and getting rid of Kingsley Coman and bringing in Memphis Depay would bring a little flavor, help us out. It did not. The losing still continued. Womp womp womp. Woe is me. I'll go ahead and shoot it over to Uber. I heard it was a season of Uber.
Yes, we had our best season. I'm very excited to share the honors of a regular season title with the two GOATs. So,
congratulations, friend. Let's take a look here. That was, three sides at 31 points apiece. As he mentions, the GOATs in Colby C-Mac and Warren W. Seals. Just Seals coming in with 10 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. The other two of you with 9 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. Real quick, off the top of my head, I cannot remember. Who was your 1 loss to?
that would be, I believe it was the Dews.
That's right, it was. I'm the champion by transitive property, right? But Uber season just absolutely impressive. It needs to be mentioned at the top and at the bottom, and many times over. I even threw a little doubt at him at the midway point TSL first episode, but just 1 loss, including no losses against Colby and Warren. And your loss, I'm pretty sure was with the bad ping. So hats off to you. What a season. Hope I beat you in the semis.
Thank you, and I hope you don't.
Let's take a look at those matchups real quick, actually, as it is currently for the quarterfinals. It is Dews and his Venezia side against Arsenal and hockey jocker Isaac. I have a funny story about that. A person who was familiar with him once told me he always thought the name was Hacky Jack. And I'm not going to say who that was, but there's a rear end and a head somewhere involved in there. But speaking of, Lyon and Asing Hall Akshat take on Warren and PSG. Winner of that matchup will face Colby, whereas in the aforementioned matchup between Venezia and Arsenal, they will take on our own Uberdur here and the Kaiser Chiefs. But anyone else want to talk about their season? I mean, we could sing the praises of Uber all episode long, really, because like Dew said, really, really great season, especially when you consider 0 L's to the two men that are known to take over here.
Was Dews just looking past old Arsenal there? Is that what that was? No. Seeing him in the semis?
Look, I hope I beat Arsenal first, but I also hope I beat him in the semis. Right. Trust me, I'm not looking past anything. Trust me. It's pretty good against the former, the only other D1 champ outside of Colby and Warren. So I'm glad somebody caught that.
Mike, do you want to recap your season real quick?
It was, typical purgatory for Venezia. Play really well at home, get killed on the road. Flirt with relegation in the beginning of it, and then find my way to the middle of the table. It's a common story in Venice. Not much to it. Ronaldo finally had a MVP worthy season. He won't win it, and he shouldn't. But finally had a great season with him in his last season in Venice. So yeah, good night.
The one team in D1 that wasn't sweating something heading into the final week.
D1 was an interesting follow all around this year, so I definitely want to give you guys your kudos, and just seemed like anything was possible out there. I mean, I know UCAN had his struggles a little bit, and he mentioned it in the first episode. Ended up finishing at the bottom of the table. But what about you, Seb? You're in here. Why don't you give us a quick rundown of how your season went?
The season did not go as expected. I didn't think I was going to make it all the way to the top, but I did not think I was going to get relegated. There were some there were some formations that did not work as well as they did last season, and it just goes to show you that they've won, or everybody just pays attention to what you're doing, and every season they improve on the last, and what worked last season is not going to work the next time. You just need to keep improving, keep fixing the things here and there, watching tape and all that, and it was just a very disappointing season. I can't help to think that dropping Lukaku might have cost me a few points due to some the game that comes to my mind based on that was the one against UCAN, where I had at least 2 or 3 open shots on net, and Moreno was not up to par. He shanked them to the right and to the left. And as you said, any point gathered would have changed the season. You saw at the top, they tied, they sharing the crown, and at the bottom, we all, Isaac is safe with 11 points, and everybody else has 10 points underneath. Well, 10 and 9. So any 1 point would have made the difference. But it is what it is. It's a tough season. It's a tough division, and I'm just getting ready for the next one.
Hey, Seb, let me jump in real quick. I got a question. So you mentioned the Lukaku thing. What was the deal with that drop, man? Did you drop him to try to kind of rope-a-dope somebody into picking him up and losing a waiver spot? Or what drove that decision to drop Lukaku?
Sometimes when I was playing, I had to change something on because I was I lost against Uber, I lost against Leon, and then I was like, I need to do something different because it's not working, and I kept seeing that Lukaku, every time he got a very direct pass, very hard pass, it kept bouncing off him like it was a wall. And then I played a few games with Moreno, and he was a little more agile. Like he could retain the ball a little bit, he could turn a little bit faster. So I was like, maybe this is what I need. But the finishing was not as good as Lukaku was. So I battled with that decision for at least 2 or 3 transfer windows, and I just finally took the plunge, and after that I picked up some other ones that I've been wanting to pick up. But yeah, I also wanted to drop him early enough that somebody would pick him and they would burn a waiver wire as well, but that didn't seem to happen.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Lukaku ended up going. Did he go totally unclaimed after you dropped him? I'm trying to look through the sheet here real quick to see, and I don't think anyone ended up grabbing him. Someone jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. If I am,
I'm pretty sure he went unclaimed because I know I kicked it around for a while, and I just couldn't justify it, man. Like I went through the whole get promoted to D1 at the end of the cycle last year, and had that been the difference in getting over the hump, I don't know if I wanted to go there again, to be honest with you. I know Della made some claims about the purgatory, but there's no worse purgatory than being stuck in between D2 and D1, the yo-yo class, as we call it. That's where some of us live, and try to stay out of that for another season or two.
Well, I want to throw it right back at you because you're in the promotion playoffs for a potential chance to go back up to D1. You're going up against Broth, and Broth, let's take a look at where he finished. He finished second, 6 points behind Fizz for the regular season crown. What are you looking forward to in that matchup?
I guess honestly, it's just the intrigue of a third match against somebody who is one of the top players in D2 for the last few seasons now. I think coming in, we all expected Broth to make the run and to kind of make the next jump that he hadn't made. Nothing's different this time except the fact that Fizz was in his way from winning the league title. So now he finds himself in the position of being in the playoffs again. But the way he performed this season, I think there's no doubt in my mind that he has to be the favorite to advance through the playoff. Coming in, I think the matchup between he and I is a fairly level one. But I just think the way that he performs offensively is far more consistent than I do. So as much as I will hope and give it my best to pull the upset in round one, I feel Broth has the odds-on favorite to take down the D2 playoffs.
Let's stick with D2 here. As I mentioned, Fizz did take the regular season crown there, and Broth was second. Division 2 newcomer promoted from Division 3 last year, Villarreal and DR Webbs. I don't know what it is. I can't say that unless I slow it down. He's in the 3rd seed. Leicester City and Scrub is in the 4th seed, and Pepper U are the 5 seed with Minnesota United. The safe teams not playing in any kind of postseason, but safe where they are. Celtic and Sloppy Fish, Pumas and Kyle Active, Toronto FC and RJ Spy, who actually was a vacationer or was away. I think you're actually in here, RJ, if you do have a mic and want to talk, but came in, kept yourself spot safe with a half season. And then in the relegation zone, we have AC Milan and Pashan and the vacant KP and Ajax. But really super intriguing. When we did episode 1, Leicester was in the danger zone, and we were all expecting Scrub to make his run, and sure enough, there it came. Got himself on a nice little run there, and is in the excuse me, I'm sorry, in the playoffs. You're in here, man. If you got a mic and want to recap your season, let us have it.
Hey guys. Yeah, it's kind of how I expected the season to start. I feel like every season I start off really slow. During the off season, we don't really train. So, we gain, 15, 20 pounds that we have to burn out by week 4. And then by then, we're ready to go. But if I remember correctly, we had just 2 losses the back half of the season against Broth and Fizz. And I think I might have only gotten 1 point from my first 4 or 5 games that I played. So yeah, it was definitely a rough stretch to start.
And my memory's terrible, so please forgive me if I get this wrong. You also had a little bit of a learning curve to go through with a new console and the next generation and everything. Is that right?
That is definitely correct. Even with the learning curve, it was still far better than playing on the old system.
As much as, or as little as I did get to play PS4 games with RW Red Wings, I will say, amen, brother. But we go back to Division 2 and in the playoffs here, the 1 seed in Fizz, he did only have 1 loss through the whole regular season, but he's actually, when it comes to games that are structured within a bracket, he's actually 0-1. Anyone want to tell me who that 1 loss was to? Don't all jump at once now.
What do you mean with a bracket?
Anytime, any game that any cup structure or where there is a win or go home scenario.
I think it was Newcastle, right?
Yeah, it was Newcastle. Man, I only had one league win, and then it was 1-1 in the cup with the 1 against Fizz and Florentina. So hey, pat myself on the back for that one. That's the only thing I had going for me this year. But that will take us over to Division 3, where Wrexham and hit the London squad, which, did that man not show up? I don't think he's in here right now. I was expecting him to be in here.
He was, yeah.
Okay. But he ran away with Division 3, 14 wins, 2 losses, 14 wins, 2 draws, 0 losses. The unbeaten season with a goal differential of 42. There is no one even close to that in any of the other divisions. Newcastle may or may not have had about 10 goals to do with that goal differential there. But then we got
no one even had 42 goals to build a differential like that. So hats off to him and those stats.
Yeah.
Only thing for an Arsenal fan to be invincible, though, right?
That is true. We then have our fearless leader in red and his Bristol City squad coming in at second with 31 points, 9-4-3, and 9-3-4. We've got Kev and his Nashville squad finishing off with 30 points. Orlando City, KJ, he's 8-3-5 with 27 points, and Gator, he finished in 5th with 26 points, 8 wins, 2 losses, 6 draws. Then we've got our newcomer, our technically he was our first Xbox cross player. Demi Doug with 6 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses, finishing with 23 points, just outside of the playoffs. Blackburn and Wick at 4-0-12. One of only 2 squads in all of Tradition Soccer to finish without a draw in the season. The other one being the man right below him in Red Wings and his Nottingham Forest squad at 3-0-13. And then yours truly at 1-1-14 with a minus 30 goal differential. Worst in the league. But let's see, is anyone in here that I can pick on for? No, Gator was here and then left, but no one else really to recap Division 3 for us. I mean, the standings pretty much say it. Wrexham, Rectum.
What happened to your season there, J-Face?
I have never been much of a goal scorer, period, playing this game, and the goals certainly did not come this season. I finished with 7 goals scored on the season. Just 7. That was not a very lucky number for me.
Wrexham took them away from everybody, I think.
Yeah. And I couldn't do anything. This was probably the most helpless I had felt playing this video game with you group of guys, really probably ever. Which, I mean, nothing to say anything bad against y'all or the game or anything like that. It just wasn't clicking for me, so it led to my by far the worst performing season I've ever had.
Yeah, I was struggling with it the same way all season. I was fully expecting to come into this year and not score a point at all. After that year off, that totally crushed anything I was doing.
Now, Wick, you're in here with us and having the... actually, Doug is in here just kind of creeping right now, so you don't worry, not putting any pressure on you. Participate, Doug. But, how was the cross-play experience for you in your 2 games with Doug, and then I think I even cross-played with you once?
Yeah, we cross-played in that last game, and I played Doug the equivalent of 5 games, I think, because we... had to play 3 or 4 full games in the playoffs just to score a goal. There's just no problems with the cross-play experience. Everything ran smoothly. I guess our disconnect issue in the 70th minute was the only issue I had.
Yeah,
the lag was no problem.
Yeah, I would say that overall it was pretty solid. Did anyone else get any friendlies in with an Xbox gamer, whether it be Doug or myself through a friendly or anything like that? I don't. Unless you guys did it on the side.
I just played friendlies against, was it Finesse?
Oh, how was that?
I had 0 issues. Really easy to add a friend, and I feel like it was just pretty much like playing a Sony player.
Right on. Because, I mean, our fearless leader has teased that expansion possibly could be coming with crossplay if it does. If this glorified stress test that EA has given crossplay on FIFA 22, if it does work out and we do see it being fully implemented in FIFA 23, which by and large is expected to be there, it's going to be a fun time, and I can't wait to play against everybody all the time from my Xbox with my streaming setup. I was going to turn my camera on for this broadcast, but then I was like, I'm already late as it is, so just going to leave it off for now. Not looking for my ego to be stroked here, but what'd you guys think of the J-Face presentation of TSL?
It almost looked like you're a professional here.
Yeah.
It's great, man. Keep it
I
up.
love it, man. Yeah. This is awesome. Keeps it, focused on one theme, and yeah. Pretty good.
If I saw that screen pop up, I know I was tuning in. That was always I honestly liked the first camera setting that you played on, where it was behind the nets, and that was just from a broadcast point of view. That's great. I don't know how you play on it, but it looks really cool on the stream.
So wild. I'll tell you, from the pro cam, and then if you go to one of the aerial cams where it's essentially pro, just zoomed out way farther back, it's easier to dribble. Because any of those camera relative type moves are in more of a natural position, but you don't have the scope to see like all your deficiencies of the AI defenders, which, I mean, maybe that's a peace of mind thing, because when you're looking at everybody, I'm sure, as you guys know, seeing your midfield just drop back, or your defensive line drop back into the goal is frustrating as all hell. But I mean, if you don't have the camera on it to see it in the first place, it can be a little bit less stressful. But dribbling was by far the biggest advantage. Also, oddly enough, timing your step on defense in a standing tackle against some of the stick wigglers. Excuse me. That had a little bit of an advantage in that too. But visibility sucked. Visibility was not fun.
Yeah, look.
Anyone else want to take the talking real quick? Because I got to get some water.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say before, I think the D3 playoffs is actually really interesting. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts as to who might come out of there. Obviously, you have defensive stalwarts with Red, but then the other teams in there with Kev, KJ Lamb, and Gator. I mean, they all can win it on their day. I think it might be a pretty interesting playoff run here. You don't have any thoughts on it?
I'm kind of looking at Kev versus Red final to move up the D2. I think those guys are maybe a step ahead of the others. Red with his defense. I know Kev finished on a strong note, even with I know he was pretty frustrated this season, but I mean, he put up some really good stats. He's the second leading scorer in D3 and still almost finished right around only one goal out of games. So no offense to Kyle and Gator, but that's kind of what I'm looking to see. But I mean, it would not surprise me if one of the either two of the other guys maybe were playing each other, or one of them went through to play one of those top two guys. Seems pretty even to me.
Do we have any predictions for how many times Red has to kick off a game because he kept it 0-0 for so long?
Hopefully none. Well, I'm sure we'll see some golden goal, though.
Yeah, I think it's just going to depend on the matchup. If you get a matchup against a stick wiggler, I don't know. All it takes is one lapse on defense for him, and he has to play from behind.
Yeah. And Gator is the original stick wiggler.
I was going to say, he's really patient in his attack, I've noticed. He used to play in D3. And, yeah, it could be the kryptonite for him, if anything, I think. I mean, Kev, I expected to come up last season. He had a tough go, and I think Webbs took him out, or someone took him out on the way up.
I believe that was correct. I believe it was Webb's part of his juggernaut final season in Season 3 there, which may lead to potential skyrocketing up to Season 1 if the playoffs break his way. But we had one of our stalwarts jump in here. I don't know if he's got his mic on him. Warren's in here now. If he wanted to recap PSG's season and talk a little bit about his playoffs coming up here. I'm taking his silence and lack of unmuting as time to move on. Let's go ahead and take a peek at, oddly enough, where Warren just came from not too long ago, which was the Lowe's League Cup, where Colby did take him out 4-3, setting up Arsenal and Firth for, let's see. Was it the Arsenal win that made Colby rebrand to Firth? Was that when the last time was they played? For a cup final, that is?
It might have been.
I believe this is his first season.
Was that season?
My Google Sheets navigating is not very fast right now, so... Let's see here.
I believe it was that season, but he also didn't have his best run in D1, if I remember correctly.
Rebranded in March, and he ended up winning the League Cup the next month.
Okay, yeah, and I do see it here that, yeah, it looks like it was after the final there that I'm thinking. I swear I can read brackets and timetables and timelines and whatnot, but just couldn't find everything in time. But yeah, so that is what we're looking at here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this... Well, we got sub clicks, so I'm gonna try and... Is this still technically part of the Ohio Cup? Because if I remember correctly, Isaac does have the Ohio ties. Am I remembering this correctly?
I think the Ohio Cup has been retired once we moved to the new format.
Gotcha. That was
What do you
always
have to
something
say about it.
because I've been stalking / playing in this dang format since, gosh, my son is 8 years old now, so probably about 8-9 years now. So that's I'm just trying to keep track of everything. It's making my head spin. But that will be our final, and if I'm not mistaken, they are trying to get something on the books for tomorrow. Did we create an event for that just yet? No, but I do know they're trying to work that out. So be on the lookout for that. And I believe it's going to be on Isaac's stream, if I'm not mistaken. If I don't know, I'm going to be working. I was going to say maybe I can do live commentary over it, but I will be working. So sorry, guys. That would have been fun, though. Moving over
we did pick up one half of that final as Isaac has joined the chat. I don't know if he wants to say anything heading into that game.
You guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough season in North London. Everyone has seen that, barely scraping in the regular season, but we excel in the cup. I hate to have to play Colby again, but I think the gods who put Colby versus Warren in the other side of the draw, that really helped me out there. So guaranteed to only have to play one of them. But yeah, we'll see. My cup roster is pretty good. I think I've been playing better in some friendlies recently with that cup roster. So, but even though Colby beat me last year, so it should be a pretty interesting cup final, especially him after coming off a pretty exciting semifinal draw, which I turned off after 4-0 up, and I shall only see Warren come back to be 4-3. So it should be an interesting final tomorrow.
Now, I don't know if I don't think you were in here just yet, but Dews earlier called his shot, saying he's taking you out in the Division 1 playoffs so he can go face Dur or Uber. Anything you want to say to that?
I mean, I think he's had mine. I gotta look up. I feel like he's beat me both times this season. So, I mean, I think it'll be a good game. I mean, I haven't been playing well with my actual roster this year, so yeah, it's probably up to Dews to win it. So, I mean, he's for sure the favorite going into tomorrow.
Yeah, something about a 3-0 scoreline he was saying.
Yeah. It's funny that you're saying I looked past him when he looked past me and Uber and is already talking about a final against Warren or Colby. So you thought I was putting the cart before the horse. We both did it.
I think that was cup talk, though.
No, he said Warren and Colby are on the other side of the playoff bracket, so he only has to play one of them.
Yeah, that was the cup.
Oddly enough, it actually worked out both ways for him. It worked out for him in both Cup and Division 1 playoffs to where, those two will knock each other out before the final comes.
Anyway.
Yeah, Dews, I wouldn't say that about you right off the bat. Come on.
Fair enough, my bad.
Who's home in the matchup, Isaac or Dews?
That one, Dews, it's the home side.
Oh,
yeah. Big advantage for sure.
A home field advantage.
All right, so let me go ahead. I'm going to try and bring up the stats real quick here. Reason being is because I'll flip us over into award talk, and that's actually something I'm going to just be straightforward with all of you. I am not quite there with who's up for what. I mean, I can go ahead and go golden boot and, say that we've got two Firth guys here that were 1 and 2 with Jolta and Feker. I'm sorry, guys. This is where I don't follow the Fakir, the sport anywhere near as closely, and probably why when it comes to roster makeup, I'm struggling so much that I have to come forward and say that I am in UCAN's DMs like the whole time. I'm trying to pick players. Like, hey, please help me. Who is this guy really any good?
Well, I've got the watch list up here if you want me to go through it real quick while we're looking at stats.
Yeah, go for it.
It's Fakir, unless you're listening to my stream, then it's fucker multiple times over and over and over again when I'm playing Colby.
So D1, we've got the let's say the watch list was posted June 29th, so I think there was still a handful of games left. But for Firth, you had both Fakir and Hota on there. Actually, is Hota not on there? No, Hota was not on the watch list, but I imagine he's squarely in the conversation now, considering he's got the most goal contributions. But then you also had Harry Kane and Llorente from my squad, Paqueta and Sanchez, two midfield stalwarts from Paris, and Ronaldo from Venezia, the man who carries dues. So going into it, I think Hota's squarely in the driver's seat, even if he wasn't on the watch list, considering he's one off the pace for man of the matches from top of the league, tied for second in goals, and first by 4 assists. I mean, no, I don't think anyone really came too close to him in goal contributions. Actually, Fakir's probably the closest his teammate.
And the large portion of his contributions were actually from just putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yep.
That's fair, but I do think that you have to look at Uber season, and the biggest contribution to that is what? The acquisition of Harry Kane. I think you have to take that into consideration when you're voting on your MVPs, right?
Is that mid-season too, that trade?
Yep, that happened right before the season. Me and Kev, he reached out to me and said, "Are you interested in Kane?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" I could use someone a little bit better than Luka Jovic in front of goal.
I think it worked.
Paid dividends immediately.
So Kane did end up finishing with Paqueta for most man of the matches on the season at 6. I think that's a big stat for at least one of the voters on the committee.
I have to say, I probably, that was a great point that was brought up in considering, the contribution to the season overall. How did things change with this individual? And I that would probably sway me to go Harry Kane and what he did for you, Uber and the Kaiser Chiefs. So if I had a vote, it would be cast to Harry Kane. I'll just let it be known right here. I'll be that guy that broadcasts his vote on the air if I have one. I don't even know if I have one. Sorry, guys. Switching over to Division 2, and the leaders out there, David from Minnesota United, Pepper's own Minnesota United, he took away the golden boot, and Muriel was there with 10 assists, and let's see, that put him with 23 goal contributions because he finished with 13 goals for NYCFC and Broth. And man of the matches, Muriel there, and Broth's stalwart there. I'm leaning. I don't know who. I like the way Aubameyang came into Florentina and really helped him out because he's got 19 total goal contributions. I think that might be where I'm leaning since he took the crown and everything.
And then for the watch list on this one heading into the final games, you had Jonathan David, you had Muriel, and Aubameyang were all in there, and then joining them were Phil Foden from Leicester and Karim Benzema from Celtic. But looking at the stats, Muriel with the most goal contributions and the most man of the matches feels like a favorite.
I just realized in looking at that Aubameyang did not get a single man of wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong list here. Where did I? There he is at 3. He's tied with a teammate of his for third place. Actually, there's a multiple person tie with 3, including watch listers Folden and David in there. But I don't know. I'm still looking at the prints there for my vote again. If I had one, don't know if I had one. Again, sorry guys. Anyone else got anything to say about Division 2?
It's probably the biggest threat to Muriel, but again, I think he took it from him last season, and I think it'll be close. But I mean, Muriel definitely with those goal contributions feels like they're runaway.
I feel like I got to give a shout out to Calvin Phillips too, because I mean he's high up there on the assists. Fizz doesn't let in a lot of goals. He's high on the man of the match too. I mean you usually don't see that much from holding quote midfielder, so it's pretty good work from Fizz to include him in his midfield and the team.
That's fair too. He actually had two of his holding midfielders chip in there. Rodri as well. That's one thing about Fizz's style of play is his holding midfielders always feature well, and it doesn't really matter who his striker is. They tend to be near the top in goal contributions. But it's good to see him with two holding midfielders each have 2 man of the match awards. I think that's kind of interesting.
Wild how spread his stats are in general. He doesn't really focus on one player. It's spread throughout from man of the matches to goals and assists. I mean, he's peppering the spreadsheet.
Yeah, you look at the spreadsheet and you see Fiorentina pretty much a lot of places in every category. I mean, it's a well-balanced contribution that he gets from his squad, does Fizz. And, I mean, that probably has a lot to do, if not everything to do, with him taking the crown. Switching over to Division 3, Uber, why don't you hit us with the watch list there before we break down where everybody ended up landing?
All right, so D3 watch list, you had Darwin Nunez with Atletico, Rafael Leao, Wrexham, Anthony, Wrexham. Honestly surprised Wrexham only had 2 on the list. Goretzka for Seattle, Benjamin Lecomte, the keeper on the list for Bristol, surprise, surprise. Dybala for Nashville, and Chouameni also for Bristol. I don't know. Bristol's keeper being on there kind of seems like a homer pick, but leave it at that.
I mean,
he
for
did
me,
end up finishing with 8 clean sheets.
Chouameni, right? I mean, it's clearly hit Chouameni with the 3 assists, and that's about it.
What did Red throw in the chat the other day? How many miles he ran in a game or something like that?
Something along those lines.
Distance covered. It was quite extensive. I do recall seeing that. But hey, I mean, sure, his keeper was a homer pick for the watch list, but I did chime in there that he did finish with 8 clean sheets. I'm gonna scan this real quick. I believe that was actually the most. Yeah, that was the most of any keeper in our league. Granted, the second place for most clean sheets were also Division 3 keepers. So I don't know if that says much about
what's going on with D3 and scoring. What's going on down there? There's too many clean sheets. I think
that's exactly what I was going to say.
We have a couple of us that have trouble scoring, so you have built in like 6 or 8 opportunities right away if you have good defense to not have anybody score against you.
Yep, that pretty much sums it up. A lot of trouble scoring there. Well, I mean, if you look, let's see. I mean, I have Mitrovic at the front of my offense, and he did not. I brought him in, and he did not replicate his real life Fulham form. I think I got 1 goal out of him of my 7 total as a team. So that tells you my struggles right there. I think
fortunately you got Premier League Mitrovic.
Yes, the Mitrovic I was used to seeing every Saturday and Sunday when he was with Newcastle. Unfortunately,
I think if you're looking at I don't know if he's a favorite, and it's probably a little bit of a nostalgia on my part, but he wasn't on the watch list. Milinkovic-Savic from the midfield finished with 19 goal contributions for Wrexham, including the most assists in the league. Love me some SMS. Those are some pretty impressive stats, but it's going to be hard to get past Leao or Anthony, both of whom had over 20 goal contributions for Wrexham.
Yeah, for me, playing against those teams, I would say it'd be between SMS and Nunez for me. You look at Gator's season, he doesn't score as many goals as Wrexham, so he doesn't have as many opportunities. If you watch his games, everything runs through Nunez. So if he didn't have him on the team, I think he would have had a couple more losses this year. That vaults him up in the discussion in my eyes.
Good point. He's up there at 5 man of the matches too, behind Goretzka and Anthony.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point. I would also say that he's not going to sniff any votes or anything, but if you had to give me like an unsung hero for anybody in Division 3, I think it has to be Paul Pogba or Paul. Sorry, you guys know who I'm trying to say. When London brought him in for Wrexham, it really seemed to change up. It let SMS be even a little bit more free, and he really seemed to know how to use Paulie, and I think he ended up with 8 assists. I just flipped over to another tab on my screen there, but he ended up having a pretty solid season for him.
8 assists, 7 goals, 15 total goal contributions. So I mean, it's a pretty well spread out attack from Wrexham. Looking at these stats, it's impressive.
Yeah, the only way I see Wrexham losing an MVP race here is if he splits too many votes among his several candidates.
Always a possibility when you have a lot of candidates from the same team. Trying to see, our man London did end up kind of putting together a run sheet for us, and then was quickly told to back off because he wanted to jump into stuff we were going to talk about in episode 3. But trying to see if there's anything else that he mentioned that I have missed. Uber, is there anything else that we really wanted to cover here? We hit the playoffs, we hit the tables, we hit the awards. Anything else you can think of?
I mean, just general chat. If there's anything someone wants to bring up about the league, anything that they're what they're looking forward to heading into FIFA 23. Anybody that maybe eyeing a rebrand or something like that. Anything y'all want to talk about either with your team or anything you've noticed about the league or another team. If anyone wants to bring any spice in the chat, that's also welcome as well.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of general chat, we saw a kind of a big shift in. We of course take on a new game and the growing pains of a new cycle of a new game. We also had a console switch, or a generation switch here. So how did guys, if you were to just summarize your experience with the FIFA 22 title this year, give us some words on that too.
For me, it's my first cycle in the league, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I really love the dynasty aspect, and it was it's pretty cool. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of us, some Queen City Gooners in here that all chat shit back and forth to each other, and getting to play against them a bunch and taking my lumps as we go is a lot of fun. So it's definitely pretty cool, and seeing everyone go to 5, I think, was a really positive switch for most people, at least. Obviously, some people have struggled with it a little bit as we switch over, but generally, yeah, man, it's really cool. Glad to be here and glad to be a part of it.
Heck, you can just
this was the first season that we got to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jack can just say Paris struggled with the switch, so it was pretty shocking to see Milan drop down, and well, I guess they did get relegated. So
yeah, I mean, he had a tough season, and Scrubs struggled too when he first switched over, and then wound up making a playoff run here down the stretch. So you got to imagine that's going to be what Paris's future holds, and we'll see him probably back up in D1 2 seasons or so here.
One thing I brought up in talking TSL episode 1 was looking at, because you have KP who didn't play, he's getting relegated. Now this may change with expansion too, but with Pishan getting relegated too, you got 3 guys in D1 potentially next year in KP, Pishan, and Shaggy that have all played in D1 at some point, and either just through activity or Pishan making the switch from PS4 to PS5 and struggling with it. That'll be interesting to see how D1 shapes up in the first season of 23.
Yeah, can anybody give any scouting reports on those guys when they come to me?
I'm back channeling money to so we can do the expansion that way. I don't get relegated. Well, I don't know how it's gonna work, but that's my hope.
It'll be interesting next year in D3. I don't think you're going to see as many clean sheets there, J-Face.
Oh darn! I need those 1-0 wins. Give me all the 1-0 wins and 0-0 draws you can afford, because that's my only way of winning these things. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This ended up being the only season that went well, and to include crossplay. I got to say this was the only season that went exclusively PS5, Xbox Series console. Is that correct? We didn't play a single game on a older generation console here in season 8.
Correct.
Yeah, I think so.
When did I think Wings was the last one to convert, wasn't he?
He was.
I'm not sure when that happened.
Yeah, I think they all got it at the end of last season, and then Wings held out until this season started to switch over.
That's exactly it. Yep, that triggered the memory right there because he was in. I think he was in a run to make a playoff spot for promotion in Division 3. Got the console and was still playing on PS4. And said, I'm just going to finish it just for continuity. Finish the season out in PS4. Ultimately, didn't see the playoffs, but yeah, it's all coming back to me now. I would sing for you guys like I sing on my stream, but I'm not gonna double that up for you. But yeah, any last thoughts before we head out?
Sneaking a point for this episode.
Should I? Is that how I should end us? Is with the Celine Dion reference?
Well, if anyone, I just want to give a shout out that we got 100% between all 3 leagues. I'm not sure if that. I believe that's the only time it happened during this cycle.
I think. Granted, I was in for the last couple seasons of this cycle, but I know that's rare. So if it didn't happen before this season in the FIFA 22 cycle, I don't think I've ever been a part of a season where it did happen. So kudos to the league, really, especially in a final season of the league cycle type format. That's usually when the burnout hits the hardest. I mean, if you guys are ever in Madden leagues, you know that you guys are just everybody's just pretty much begging to be put out of their mercy by the time really about the 3/4 of the cycle mark. So for us to have 100% throughout for the final season of this cycle, yeah, kudos to everybody there. Big round of applause. I'll go ahead. I'll wrap us up here. Thank you so much, everybody who contributed. Thank you to Red for everything you do, putting us all together here in this virtual atmosphere that we call Tradition Soccer. Looking forward to round 2 of merch. That keeps getting teased, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. Round 2 of merch. Can't wait for that to come around. Oddly enough, in Alaska, it's really hot today, so I'm not wearing my hoodie. You would think I'd be in it year-round, but no, we're actually in the 70s, and it's very nice, so no hoodie here. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for contributing. Thank you for listening. The archive will be up once Red gets his hands on this Craig recording. And until next time, hope to see everybody soon, and I hope you're having fun playing FIFA.